Hello, welcome to my channel. You are the one where we talk all things law of assumption. And today we're talking about whether or not it's possible to date your celebrity crush. And the reason that we're talking about this is because a couple of people have asked this question and it reminded me of my experience of dating my celebrity crush when I was a bit younger. And that is what I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to share with you my story so that you know it's possible, because in reality, in this amazing experience called life, anything is possible. And I want to share with you a story that proves that today. So stick around. My name's Hedley Derenzie. I'm a qualified life coach, I'm an author, and I'm super passionate about the amazing teachings of the law of assumption as originally taught by the great American mystic Neville Goddard. It is the stories that we tell that create our life. So if you want to change any part of your life, then you have to start by changing the story first. And if you want to create the most amazing life, it really helps to know how to tell the most amazing stories. And that's where these teachings can help. And that's why I am here. I want to help you to tell the most amazing stories so that you can experience the most amazing reality. If you would like support with this, I'm available for coaching. I have online coaching, I have personal one-to-one coaching, and I also have a free 21-day set yourself up with the ultimate self-concept course, which is the ultimate story you want to be telling. All of those details are in the box below this video, so check that out, or you'll find it at my website, youaretheone.com.au. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, today we are talking about, is it possible to date your celebrity crush? Somebody recently asked the question of, can you date your celebrity crush, or something along those lines. And somebody has also asked that question in the past, and I had intended to answer it based on my own experience, where I know that it is absolutely possible to date your celebrity crush if that is something that you want to do. But also, it's just nice to know that these things that we assume might be impossible are actually possible. And so that is why I want to share this story with you today. Just as simple evidence, whatever you might consider impossible is possible. And that's my purpose with sharing any story, is to enable you or to help you to know that what you might consider impossible is actually possible. If I feel like I've lost the magic, or I feel like, something is impossible, I'll be like, hang on a second. You know that's not true because of this experience, which I'm going to share with you now. When I was about 14 years old, now I just want to preface this by saying, as I was growing up, I was not one of those young girls who was into celebrities or famous people or anything like that. I didn't have posters on my wall. I wasn't that kind of person. Until this guy showed up on my screen of the television. There was a television show that was extremely popular when I was growing up, when I was 14, and it starred an actor who, when I saw, I was completely mesmerized and quickly became obsessed with. I was very quick to cut his posters out and put them on my wall and stick his photos on in my school diary. And this guy was uber famous. He was the lead actor on the lead television show around the world. He was like the hottest thing in Hollywood at the time, and probably people, I'm not going to say who it is, but people who are of my generation would know. Probably the younger generation would not know who I'm talking about, because he's not as famous today as he was back then, but back then he was the hottest thing in the world because his television show, which he was the star of, was the #1 television show in the world. What I remember most about this was every Monday night when his show was on and I would sit in front of the television and he came on the screen, the joy that I felt in my body. I would be laughing at the television screen because this guy I just found him so attractive and so good looking and just so mesmerizing. He just brought up joy. He ignited joy in me. All my friends and everyone at school knew that I was obsessed with him. I even had a crush on a guy who was a bit older than me who looked like this actor. Fast forward to when I was in my early 20s, about 21, 22. I moved to Los Angeles and I wanted to be a writer, and one of my best girlfriends over there, she was a fashion director for a magazine. So I was doing some work for her and she put in a good word with the editor, and the editor gave me a break to become a writer. And he sent me off to an event in Hollywood. I had no experience. I'd never done any writing before. I'd never done any journalism. I just wanted to be a writer. And he just said to me, look, I'm giving you a chance. make sure you interview anyone famous. That was my only instruction, interview anyone famous. And I was fine. I had no problem like walking up to people and or famous people and asking them questions. And I had a list of questions with me. So I was very prepared, and I had a photographer who was assigned to the job with me. It was a fashion parade and it was a club opening and whatever. It's a free bar, so I'm like having a few drinks and it's just all a bit of fun. And then there was a bit of commotion at the front door, and suddenly there were all these cameras and lights and people, and there was this kind of crowd of like throng of people. Through this crowd, I saw coming into the club in the center of this whirlwind was this actor that I had grown up idolizing. Like I was just like mesmerized. And I said to Jimmy, my photographer, I was like, oh my God, look who's here, look who's here. And Jimmy, who'd seen it all and was not fazed by Hollywood or famous people at all, he was like, oh, well, you got to interview him. And I'm like, no, there's no way I can't interview this guy. Like, you have no idea. So I like ran to the back of the club. Like I actually ran the opposite direction. I was like mortified. I was just so overwhelmed by what was happening. And so Jimmy, unbeknownst to me, went up to this guy and got him to come over. And so I was standing at the back of the club, and this guy with all the cameras and the lights and the people is coming towards me, and he just comes up to me and he goes, hi, I'm, gives me this big, beautiful grin. And I'm like, holy shit. Holy shit. I didn't know, I was speechless. I had a list of questions, and I looked at my list and I was like, can I get a photo with you? That was the only thing that came out of my mouth anyway. So he was very gracious and he let me take a photo with him, and Jimmy's like taking photos. And anyway, we were just having a bit of fun. I think I may have asked him another question, but that was it. And then throughout the night, he was like, he'd be waving at me. It was so surreal. And he would like be trying to get my attention. And I was just like, what is happening? And as I was leaving, I'd had a few drinks and I was feeling like a little bit confident. And I went up to him at the end of the night and I was like, hey, it was really lovely to meet you. Thank you so much. And he ended up giving me his business card and he's like, give me a call. And I was like, oh my God. And long story short, I dated this guy who was one of the most famous men in the world at that time. Never in a million, thousand, trillion years would I have ever thought that this was possible. And on our third date, he invited me over to his house for dinner. And this is where things really kind of, is this real or is this a dream? Because when I walked in, he had decked out his house with candles, and he had a glass of red wine waiting for me, and he was behind the kitchen counter chopping a tomato. This was beyond anything that I could possibly imagine. That was probably the moment where my brain actually shut down and was like, I can't accept this. This is not possible. This is too good to be true. Like, I actually remember the moment where my brain just cut out and was like, this can't be happening. This is too amazing. And I actually could not hold the reality that I realized a bit later on in my life that I had brought in based on the joy and the feeling of just bliss that this guy brought up in me as I was watching him in television. Like, I didn't have any conscious awareness that I was manifesting him into my life, but I can actually look back on this experience and see how I did based on all the things that I was doing, which was, I was just, well, one, I was completely relaxed when I was watching him on television. I felt absolute intense joy watching him. There was no willing or trying to meet him or anything like that. What's really amazing about this is that my self-concept, my story, caught up with my reality, and I started to very quickly undo what I had created because I couldn't hold this amazing reality. My self-concept wasn't at the level where I could hold it, where I was questioning, like, what is this guy doing with me? Like, this isn't working. There's no way this could work. Like, he's too good. Like, he's a movie star. I'm nothing. I was the one bailing. I was the one running off down the coast because in those days you left messages. Like, I didn't have a mobile phone. And so he would leave messages on my phone, but I would just run away for the weekend because I was just so overwhelmed by what was happening. So he was kind of wondering where I was, could not hold that amazing reality that was happening to me. Also really interesting about this is that my mum came up recently and she brought a box of treasures that I have not seen since I got back from LA. And I opened it, and on top were the journal entries that I wrote about my time with this person, and reading them again was just unbelievable. I was reading the story of my self-concept. I could see how I was writing my way out of this experience. I made the decision, rather than see him again, I actually made the decision to go back to Australia. I didn't want to go back to Australia, but I could not hold that amazing reality that was happening to me. So I've actually since revised that story. And thanks to this experience of this person who asked this question and then seeing Notting Hill on my Netflix account has enabled me to revise this, for this memory to come up, for me to revise it and to heal that assumption that it's not possible to fall in love, create a life and family together. Because, there was a really lovely connection with this person. I couldn't hold it at the time. And this is one of my favorite memories. And to look back and see where my assumptions about life and love and myself caught up to me and to my reality and then unraveled this amazing experience that I had created for myself. And so I ended up leaving. He wanted to go out again, and I actually said to him on the phone, I was like, I'm going back to Australia. And he's like, really? What? You're going back to Australia? And I was like, yeah. It was like I ripped the rug out from under myself because I simply couldn't hold that reality. But that's the beautiful thing about this. There's no regret because that's where I was at the time. And the beautiful thing about these teachings is it gives me the opportunity to go back and revise that story and rewrite and then shift into that new memory, because remember, the brain doesn't know the difference between what it sees and what it imagines and what it remembers. You're the one that decides that. So you get to create these new memories. You get to go back and rewrite the script as to how you would like it to have been. If there's something in your reality that you kind of wish you had have done differently, you can absolutely go back and do that differently. You have the power of your imagination. That is your creative playroom. That is where you do all of your work. Remember, reality is just a reflection. So whatever you're doing in consciousness, whether it's revising or manifesting a new reality, it's all happening now. So that state of consciousness has to, if it's rehearsed and that becomes the new memory, it has to solidify and get reflected back. So I am incredibly grateful to have had this experience, to be reminded of this amazing experience that happened to me, to be able to revise it, and then to share it with you so that you know it's possible. This is possible for you. This is possible for anyone. If you decide that this is something that you want to experience in your 3D, anything is possible. Anything. You're amazing, you're creative, you're powerful. It is absolutely possible to date your celebrity crush if that's something that you want to do. However, I would like to highlight that with my experience, there was no willing it. There was no trying to make it happen. There was no neediness. I didn't even think for a second, to be honest, that was ever going to happen to me. And it took a few years to really understand how that did happen. But I can look back now and I go, well, I 100% set that up because of the joy that I was feeling for so many years. I felt joyful every time I looked at this person's photograph for years. Just brought up joy within me. And then when he was in front of me, it was like all of that joy culminated into this moment in my reality where this person's standing in front of me, beaming this beautiful smile, lights, cameras, shining down on us. And I'm standing opposite this person just going, holy shit, life is magical. Wow. And we are all the stars and creators of our reality, having an experience here in these physical bodies. And this 3D experience is malleable. It is absolutely changeable. It is entirely in your hands. And so I just wanted to share this because this is possible. As always, please remember that you are the amazing creators of your reality. You are the superstar of your show. You are the producer, the writer, the director, and the actor in your movie. What you assume to be true will be so. So assume the best for you and assume the best for everyone in your movie too, and you will have an amazing life. And this is my wish, my vision, and my prayer for you. Thank you so much. And if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, I'd love to have you. Any other information you would like, you'll find it at youaretheone.com.au, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.